Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary Advisory Committee. And if you can say all that with one breath, you're doing very well. This is, I guess it would be the last meeting of the summer, and we dodged the great storm that passed through, so we've got a lot to be thankful for. We'd always like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Barb, would you help us with that?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here comes John.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's fine.
The elevator was stuck.
The bridge was up. The bridge was up.
The bridge was up. That works. The elevator, I don't know.
Okay. All right. The audience, again, the audience is scarce, but I want you to know that at any time that folks would like to come and join us and talk about one of the blessings of Indian River County, which is Memorial Island Sanctuary, please come. And we're always open to folks interested in our sanctuary. So with that, we'll move to new business. And ma'am?
Are you going to do anything about the minutes?
Oh, minutes. I jumped right over the minutes. Oh, my gosh. This is why I have folks beside me.
The bridge is up, right, Mr. President?
That's why I have this august assembly.
Yes.
Okay. The minutes from our last month was disseminated by the internet. We had an opportunity to make amendments to the prior ones. That was in place. Any input in regards to the minutes for last month? Anything?
No.
I make a motion we accept.
Okay, motion, a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Now we can go.
So now we move through.
Now we can go.
Okay. And good morning, Don and Rob. Cool. Okay.
I just noticed something on the minutes, if it's not too late.
Yeah.
I did attend that reunion of the Marines I was with in Vietnam, and it turned out to be 567 Marines killed in Vietnam in my battalion instead of five.
And what
On
Page
8
5.
members matters. So and it's not instead of 521 Marines, I just got back from that reunion, and it was 567 Marines killed in my battalion.
hang on, my fingers aren't moving as quickly as you're identifying.
Number 8.
8, you said 5, it's not 521, it was 5 what?
567.
567.
Do I need to move to amend?
Sorry, I should have got here a little bit earlier.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, then if she moves to amend, we move the second. And
I move to
that's
amend.
just
Okay, so second it, and then
Yep.
all in favor of amendment as
Aye.
stated?
Yep,
Aye.
aye.
Okay, very good.
Excuse me for being tardy here.
Well, I'm sorry we have to make that amendment.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Not good. Okay. Now, ma'am, you would like to talk about the Alzheimer's and Parkinson's Association request.
Yes. Last year, the council was very gracious in allowing us to incorporate the island in our Walk to Remember so that we could include, since the event is always held in relation to Veterans Day and has been, and we have other parts to our event that honor veterans. And last year, you allowed us to use the island as part of the walk, with the understanding that this was going to be the quiet part, the reflective part. We were able to carry that out. It was an immense addition to the walk. We are fundamentally here to ask if we may do that again. I can tell you a few things about the event this year, and of course I'll always take an opportunity to tell you what we do so that you know why we're asking.
If you don't, shame on you.
Exactly. And whatever I forget, because it is Alzheimer's, I've put into folders for you.
Okay.
Our event is the Walk to Remember, and this year it's on November 14th. This will be the 12th annual Walk to Remember. This has been our main fundraiser. It basically, we look to net $60,000, which almost exactly matches our rent. And besides being a fundraiser, it's a huge awareness raiser. And it is one of the best feel-good events that anyone ever attends. It's a morning walk. We gather in Riverside Park. We have sponsors that are in the healthcare field that have their tables and their information there, along with snacks, goodies, orange juice, coffee, ridiculous pastries, and anything that will get you going. We have John Sammartino warming you up for the walk. And then the walk itself is about 2K. It's about 2K. And it's, besides being a fundraiser, really what it is it brings us the chance to explain to the community who we are and what we do. We are not part of the National Alzheimer's Association, which is a constant confusion. But we exist because services were needed in this county. We've been in this county for 30 years. We started with a woman who had a husband with Alzheimer's and a woman who had a husband with Parkinson's, and they met through an ad in the paper to start a support group. And that support group grew and grew, divided. It was working out of various community locations. It was working out of community church for quite a while. Then they started having monthly meetings, brown bag meetings, where they would invite in doctors and lawyers. Sam Block told me the other day, he said, I think I did that for 5 years straight. and then eventually it was a support organization, a support group. And then they found a small office out by the airport, so we had sort of an anchor and an actual telephone and a place to call home for a bit. And then they found grant money and a philanthropist in John Stagels, and they moved to our present 4,000 square foot space, which is over where the old doctor's clinic was. And that was in 2009. And we have been able to, it's been really fun. We've been able to grow the programs, and we're very unique. We find out from people who are coming back from all different parts of the nation that they aren't places and communities like this. We have programs for caregivers of those with dementia. In this county, just to put it in context for you, nationally there are about 5.5 million people with dementia. 80% of them are cared for by unpaid family and friends, which saves the communities an immense amount of money. And as these numbers are going to grow, by the year 2050, it's going to triple. We know communities need to support the families who are trying to manage this. Dementia is 3 times harder to care for than any other form of caregiving. That's a fact. So besides the dementia caregiving support, we also have movement support for people who have movement issues. There's a whole list of our programs in there, but just to sort of give you an overall sense of it, we have 10 to 12 support groups every month. Some of them are at our center, some of them are in Sebastian, some of them are out west of town, some are in Gifford. We have a social respite program. If someone is caring for someone with dementia in their home, they can bring them in at 9 o'clock. We are not medical. It's not daycare. We entertain them and we socialize with them at activities that are geared towards their abilities. It's just making every moment happy for 3 hours, and then the caregivers who've had that time off can come back and pick them up. And if you ever want to really have a good smile in your day, come to our office at just before 12 o'clock, and you'll see caregivers who are coming in, and they've had their time off, and the folks who've been in the program coming out of the room. And that's probably the best part of my day, is just to watch what happens, because it's positive. And most people think when you have these diseases, nothing can be positive. And I'm here to tell you, you can make each moment positive. It's all in the communications and the expectations and the preparation. In the afternoons, we have movement programs. We have exercise. We have a musical therapist, Maureen Burkhardt, who has a moving and grooving. We just started that program for those with movement, and it's actually maxed out at this point. That was through one of our collaborations with the VNA. We collaborate with a lot of organizations because that's how we can afford to do the programs. But cueing is extremely important. Music is very important to Parkinson and its well-being. We have Tremble Clefs, which is a singing program so that their voices can be exercised and their breathing can be exercised. We have Qigong so that they can get in touch with how to make their body relax and to get in tone with how those movements can be relaxed. We have Surf and Turf. That's a collaboration out at Brennedy, which is land and water exercise. We have a few programs in collaboration with the Vero Beach Art Museum. One is an art program for those with dementia and their caregivers. That's just fun. That's just great fun. And we're starting a Parkinson dance program with them, another collaboration in the winter. We also have a virtual dementia program, which everyone in this room should try. We put macular degeneration lens on you. We put confusion tape. We put inserts into your feet. We bind your hands and have desensitizing gloves. Put you into a room that's darkened with an annoying strobe light. We give you 5 tasks to do. Most people can do 3. And about a third of the people come out with tears because all of a sudden they understand. It's an awareness program. We also collaborate with the Sheriff's Office with Project Lifesaver, which is a search and rescue device for those who are at risk of wandering. This is absolutely essential, particularly for people in the community to know about. It is free to the community. We use grants to get the equipment, and it's a radio frequency device that someone with dementia, we put it on them. They can't take it off. Well, they can cut it off with scissors, but they can't really take it off. And we maintain it every month, make sure that it's got the battery, make sure that it's cleaned out and that the signal is strong. Send all of the information to the Sheriff's Office. They have a database of this. Person goes missing, caregiver calls 911, identifies him as Project Lifesaver, and they can be found in under 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is a program that we are constantly trying to make everyone aware that we have. Our programs are, we have a small operating budget. We're working on increasing that, but a lot of our programs are run entirely through our volunteers, such as the Virtual Dementia and Project Lifesaver. So we do the best with the resources that we have, and we're working at getting more resources. Awareness is a big part of that, and so I thank you for this opportunity. Our walk, I am hoping that your group was pleased with how we handled the section of the walk that was on the Memorial Island. We had the people with the signs reminding them that this was the quiet and reflective time. We made sure that there was no trash or litter and that everybody walked at a pace, at a slower pace. And everyone kept to that. This year we are adding something to the walk. It's not going to involve Memorial Island. We're adding a 5K run so that we can bring in the running community. That's going to be extremely early. They start running at 7:30? Mm-hmm. 7:30.
Registration starts at 6:30.
Yes, registration starts at 6:30. And this is a timed and measured race. We're using Mike Melton for that. And it's really to bring in a different part of the community. That race will be finished before the walk begins. The walk will begin at 9, and the walk and everything pretty much finishes up around 10:30. So, are there any questions?
I have just a couple of remarks, and one is to the TV audience. The eloquent speaker that you have just listened to is a lady named Peggy Cunningham, who did not identify herself in.
I'm so sorry. It's such a small town.
It's on our agenda, and Peggy happens to be the executive director of the Alzheimer's group. So the other thing, Peggy, and you just really touched on it, we we love this walk, and you did it last year, and you did it exceptionally well. I would warn you a little bit from the standpoint that we do not allow any type of fundraising on that as far as the island is concerned.
Right.
And I know you know this.
Yes.
And I just want the TV people to know that in the best sense of the world, when these walkers are walking on the island, it is in silence, and it is in tribute to what that island stands for. And it has nothing to do with the actual fundraiser.
Right.
So you touched on it, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate a little bit so that everybody would have it really clear in their minds. And thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, she did a real good job. I've heard this before.
And who is with you?
I'm sorry. Tiffany Tripson, who is our event chair, along with Elizabeth White and Diane Kurth. They all of them work for Nurse on Call. Tiffany, we roped her into this year, and she has done an outstanding job. She's probably the most organized person I've ever met. Just amazing. Everything has just run like clockwork. So it's been wonderful working with her.
Any insights, Tiffany, from last year?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I think everything was fine, and I don't know.
From the group that came last year, how many veterans do you expect? What portion do you think? Maybe a third, maybe?
We invited them on stage.
There was probably at least 15 on stage that came up, and we did the salute. And
Okay.
And we'll have the big stage, so we would hope that we can get as many veterans up there. Because we have the honor guard
you mentioned
coming in.
the veterans have a large population that suffer from
They
dementia,
do.
So.
Yeah, so many of the folks that walk through our door are veterans, and as Joel well knows, that they some of just the aging process is what makes you very vulnerable to dementia. But it's also with the Parkinson folks. We see that very distinctly with the men who have Parkinson's.
Now, the application said the expected number was at 500. Is that what you're anticipating?
I would hope so.
Okay. And there was no request for Bob and the folks on the island?
For what?
For recreational, I mean, the speaker system, et cetera, which they provide for ceremonies.
We have the stage, and we start then everything under the walk, under the oaks, and so we have the stage and all of the sound system there.
All right.
And then we bring the veterans on stage while we're singing the national anthem.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Just so you know, in the Army, we usually start running around 6 o'clock in the morning anyway. He said 7:30 was early. We're already done by 7. So.
Peggy, I was wondering if Curtis was going to mention about the early start. I was thinking,
Yeah, we do.
there's a saying, and I'll let it go. I'll be very brief. That we get more accomplished before 9. But I think, unless there are other questions,
Just where does it start, and by the time they hit the island, will they be kind of strung out a little
Yes,
bit? So
yes.
it's not-
It starts under the oaks, and then the path goes. Which way does it go? And then goes down.
When they leave the island, they're going to go towards the bridge. They'll go under the bridge, down by the dock, and then come back, and then go to the island, and then come back.
the only other question, Don, is there any other thing going on during that time frame that might be no? Okay.
Not that
good.
early in the morning, but I think the chili cook-off is the same day, right?
All right. We're fortunate because Memorial Island is becoming more visible to the public. And so the Daughters of the American Revolution have a service day where they're going to come and clean the monuments, which is awesome. And so it's nice. And that's exactly where we want to go, for the public to take advantage of the island that is there for the veterans. So,
One question.
yes.
Last year you had nobody that had showed up with any animals, did you? During the walk?
I don't think we did.
I think somebody did, but we made them leave because they weren't supposed to have animals in the park. I think.
Right.
Somebody, but it was like a carried, like a little teeny tiny dog, and we're like, not supposed to have animals.
Thanks.
Correct, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we approve this. This is a worthwhile cause, and I think we should support it. So I make the motion that we approve it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, I'll just leave some team packets here in case any of you would like to form your own walk teams.
Okay. I appreciate
You
that.
want to run?
Or if you want to run.
And we could take I have John grab one of the packets and mention it at the Veterans meeting this afternoon, so that would be good. Okay. Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Good to
this
see
very
you.
much.
Good to see you too.
Okay. Old business. Mr. Dexter, please.
Who lives here?
Good morning. Don
Good morning.
Dexter, Public Works. And the Lest We Forget Monument Cross Restoration, I spoke to or exchanged emails with the vendor, and he's thinking late September, early October, we'll have the new cross installed.
Oh, fantastic.
Wonderful.
That's good.
Perfect time.
And the Jimmy Dole's cenotaph marker replacement has arrived. They're hoping to get it installed this week, and it may be done already. I haven't been able to verify that. Something on Jimmy's spelling of his name, it's not I-E, it's Y. So we might want to look back through the record and see if it's if we have I-E all the way through.
How's it spelled on the marker?
M-M-Y.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I-E's
And on the bronze, it is
Y.
very good. Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
That was
It's
in.
J-I-M-M-Y.
J-I-M-M-Y.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Other than that, everything is good out on the island.
Okay. And just from the other aspects, the fern looks awesome again. And we did send a letter from the advisory committee also telling her thank you for that. And things are good.
Okay.
All right. Good. Okay. From the Recreation Department, Rob, anything? Okay, very good. Moving on to Chairman's Matters. We have the accounts for the veterans that were highlighted during the month of August in front of us, and I've asked for folks to do that. I can do Palmer, or John, would you like to do Palmer?
Yes, sir. If you'd like me to.
Okay, please. Yeah.
Private First Class Robert E. Palmer, U.S. Army, killed in action September 2nd, 1952. Robert Palmer is one of several remaining veterans honored on Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary whose account remains elusive. Robert is among the men that were part of the dedication in 1964. He is listed in the Press Journal article with Henry Morgan and Clyde Ryle. Robert Palmer is thought to be Robert E. Palmer. His cenotaph is located in column F, row 5. Robert E. Palmer was a private first class in the United States Army. His service number was 53081422. He served in the Korean War. On September 2nd, 1952, he was assigned to the 5th Regimental Combat Team. He was wounded. Robert is listed among the Korean War dead and wounded Army casualties. He was a resident of Florida. There are 3 World War II veteran Army casualties from World War II. None are Robert Palmer's. This would indicate that he served only in Korea and was not also a World War II veteran. Another Palmer was included in the dedication in 1964. He is Thomas Franklin Palmer. Thomas was a sailor, then Marine Corps veteran that served in World War II and Korea.
Good. Thank you. Curtis?
Master Sergeant Ernest Hayward, U.S. Army Green Beret, killed in action October 25th, 1965. On October 25th, 1965, Master Sergeant Ernest Hayward of El Paso was the first Indian River County casualty of the Vietnam War. The 38-year-old Special Force soldier had been in the regular Army for 15 years prior to his death. Master Sergeant Hayward was assigned to the 5th Special Forces Group in Alpha Company 332 Team. He was killed in the vicinity of Mintan in the Bin Province.
That's what I'd say.
Okay. He is buried in Arlington National Cemetery, Section 43, grave 949. The 1930 census listed his parents, Eugene and Essie Hayward, spelled Haywood, living in Wabassa. In the 1940 census, he was living with his aunt and uncle, Mr. and Mrs. Charles Edmond, in Wabassa. The Edmonds were still residents in 1970. Master Sergeant Hayward's wife, Katie, and 2 children moved on to North Carolina, where he was assigned before his loss. He was a Black American. His cenotaph is located in column 8, row 6.
Okay. Lord.
Private First Class Robert Michael Walters, U.S. Marine Corps, killed in action June 16, 1966. PFC Robert Michael Walters, M Company, 3rd Battalion, 9th Marine Regiment, 3rd Marine Division, died of wounds on June 16, 1966. He was 20 years old, born March 15, 1946. PFC Robert Michael Walters, or Mickey as he was called, attended Vero Beach High School. A freshman photo of him was in the 1961 VBHS Arrowhead yearbook. He lived in Sebastian. The Walters family came from the Chicago area. His parents owned a business in Vero Beach. Mickey joined the Marines before completing high school. In his first tour of duty in Vietnam, he was awarded the Purple Heart. On leave, he visited his high school. He spoke of his war experiences to friends. Upon returning to Vietnam, PFC Walters was accidentally killed while returning from patrol in the Quang Nam province. Like General Stonewall Jackson in the Civil War, he was a casualty of friendly fire. The Press Journal reported his loss on July 7, 1966. Mickey enlisted into the U.S. Marine Corps. Defense records reflects him as Michael Walters. He was a rifleman, single, and a Catholic. He is honored on the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C., panel 8E, row 55. He's buried in Chicago. A Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary cenotaph was dedicated in his honor in October 1971. He's located in column H, row 12. He was highlighted on August 18th.
Cool.
First Lieutenant James Thomas Egan, Jr., United States Marine Corps, missing in action and killed in action January 21st, 1966. First Lieutenant James Egan, Jr., H Battery, 3rd Battalion, 12th Marine Regiment, 3rd Marine Division, went missing on January 21st, 1966, and was classified killed in action on March 1st, 1978. He was 22 years old when captured or killed. James was born May 31st, 1943. Lieutenant Egan was an artillery forward observer with the patrol of the 1st Force Recon Company when the outfit was attacked. In the combat, he got separated and failed to return to the rally point. After 12 years without conclusive evidence, his status was revised to reflect a hostile death. The remains of fellow MIA from the unit was later found and identified. Lieutenant Egan is part of a modern-era Indian River County pioneer family. The Egan name is known for business, success, and civic responsibility. Mr. Egan's loss leaves an account without closure. His body has not been accounted for. The Senate Select Committee, Case 0235, provides testimony that his fate is still unknown. The book Lullabies for Lieutenants by Franklin Cox speaks of the known events. He exemplifies the terrible cost of battle still borne by the families of the MIA and those that lost loved ones in the service to our nation. James was commissioned in the United States Marine Corps following graduation from Notre Dame in 1964. Initially assigned to Hawaii, his unit was ordered to Vietnam. Defense records reflect that he was promoted to major during the period he was missing in action. His name is inscribed on the Court of the Missing at the Honolulu Memorial. He is also on the Vietnam Memorial Wall, panel 4E, line 81. In addition, he is among those memorialized in Section 13 of Arlington National Cemetery. The Vietnam War Memorial of Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary was dedicated April 28, 2012. He was highlighted August 25th.
Okay. Thank you all for reading those. I hope that folks watching and listening realize that the men that are identified on the stones that are there, their remains are not there. They're only markers that are in memorial. But every one of them is a part of Vero Beach in Indian River County. I've had the good fortune of visiting some of the memorials for these men that are elsewhere in the United States. I've been to the marker in Arlington for Haywood, and I've been to the marker in Arlington National Cemetery for Lieutenant Egan. And the men that served our nation have touched more than just Vero Beach. And families that grew up with some of these men are still here. My brother went to school with Mickey Waters and had accounts of being a friend with him. So these are important for a lot of reasons. Not to mention the fact that they're here on our island and are due with the respect. Lieutenant Egan is extremely poignant because members that have served in the military understand that anytime you go out and you're in combat, things can go awry and unanticipated, and the men that come home are left with a memory of those that served beside them, and their families, just as much as the men that served beside them, still have that in their lives. And I know, John, when you visited in D.C. and you made note of the fact that there were 576 Marines, and I thought of you when we spoke of Lieutenant Egan, because we've got not a ceremony, but we have national recognition for POW MIA Day, and I wanted to mention that also. That's the 18th of September, and John Michael Matthews, I don't know if you led it individually, but I know that you were instrumental in the dedication of the POW MIA Memorial on the island. So I just wanted to say thanks.
Well, I think many of us worked on it. I was the chair of the committee, but of course many of us worked on it, and it's I think an important part of the island. I think that was part of the original plan that Bud Gibbs had put in there. Bud Gibbs was one of the early presidents of the Veterans Council and was a prisoner of war himself, and it's sad. It's very sad if someone's killed in combat, but it must be even more difficult for those families that are waiting and wondering and never knowing exactly what happened to their loved one, and a kind of probably not realistically, but expecting them to walk through the door any day, and they don't. So I guess while I'm speaking, I did attend my reunion, and we of course talked of those that are still missing or that were never recovered. And we had a memorial on the Marine Corps base in Quantico, in the chapel there, where we read the names of the 567 Marines and corpsmen that were killed in our battalion, and that was sad but sweet. Some of the families were there, and my company gunnery sergeant that was killed, his son was there, and he was just 9 years old when his father went away to war. His father was a gunnery sergeant at the time, a career Marine, and was his hero, of course, and had already been a drill instructor and all the things that a successful Marine might do. And, of course, this 9-year-old saw his father go away to war but then come home in a box. And so it was a few emotional but, moving conversations with people like him, and then some reunions, just conversations with other Marines that were in the battalion. It's the 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment, 1st Division. It's the oldest regiment in the Marine Corps. And then they hosted us and others at the 8th and I, as they call it, which is called that because that's the address in Washington, D.C. It's 8th Street and I Street, Southeast. And they had the Marine Corps Band and the Silent Drill Team, 2 companies of Marines, and doing the rifle drill. And I tried to get more. I told them I need 12 of these to bring back, and they said you get one. But and then we had our battalion dinner, which was kind of at the end of the ceremony, and we had one of the company commanders, Marshal Carter, was the speaker, and he had a very successful career, and was the Marshall. He graduated from West Point, but he also became pardon me, I'm losing exactly what his title was on the stock exchange, but the president of the stock exchange, I think, and then another speaker was Jan Scruggs, who was the person who started the movement to have the Vietnam Veterans Memorial placed there in Washington, D.C. So it's quite a few days, Wednesday to Sunday, and a lot of course, we had a hospitality room that was open until midnight with free beer and wine, so I'm not sure if all the stories were true there late at night, but we had fun anyway. So thanks for letting me tell you about that.
Oh, sure. No. Marvin, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Joe?
No, I don't know how much you're going to go over the.
Well, before I pass the stage to Amelie, last week I was on the island visiting, and I just want to raise this up so everybody can see. There's a dog tag, and there's a cross that was left hanging on the bench that's just to the south of the. I believe it is the Marine Corps recognition, the monument there. So if you had a lapse of memory and forgot about your cross and dog tag, you can call the city clerk's office here or the Veterans Council, and we'll return that to you. Anytime you go to the island, you become in contact with folks that care a great deal about those that have served, and it's just an honor for us to have the opportunity to make that place special and continue it on. Ma'am?
It reminds me, if I may, pardon me for interrupting, but Jan Scruggs, the founder of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, talked about, it was a PowerPoint presentation, that shows how old I am, but PowerPoint presentation. There were so many things that are left at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial that they've been able to acquire another piece of land to have a museum, and this might be one of those kind of things, and I don't know if we probably don't have many that are left, but if it's not claimed, I don't think we're going to need another museum for ours, but it is something that many people bring and leave photographs or leave, different things that spark their memory or whatever at the wall there, and that's going to become a new museum there near the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. So that might have been something left intentionally for that reason, without not just absentmindedly.
If you do that. I would rather see, if that was left here on the island, I would rather see it stay here. And the reason I say that, I had a lady drop off a World War I naval uniform last week. Mm-hmm. So it's complete World War I uniform. We've had a World War II uniform. We've had some people drop off flight logs and books and journals and stuff. We don't know what to do with them, so we're just kind of compiling them. I think at some point in time we need to maybe put our collective heads together and do something for the veterans of Indian River County here, of things that have been donated or things that are found or left or whatever. We don't know what to do with them.
Okay. All right.
Just
food for thought.
Yep.
Amen.
Food for thought.
Mr. Curtis, anything?
No. Excuse me. Yeah, just one thing. I wasn't here last month due to some time constraints. I just want to thank everybody for the golf tournament. I just wanted to put it out that how successful it was, beyond our imagination. A lot of money was made for the Veterans Outreach Program. I'd like to thank the county and everybody, and the county commissioners also, for all the help that they did to make it a successful event.
Right.
Thank you. We'll see you again next year.
Thanks. Ma'am?
Well, I just remind everybody that our next meeting is on October the 7th.
With that,
Nope. You're not done, sir?
we have two accountings that's been provided to me from our funds for Memorial Island. As of June, we had a balance of $14,691.21, and then as of the end of July, we had a balance of $14,750, and those funds will be used to maintain the sanctuary. And a portion of the funds, I'm sure, will be used towards the renovation for the Lest We Forget monument as well as Stoles.
This was from the deposits, the old placard that was.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And what Joel's making sure I'm alert to is the fact that we gained about $60 in the recycling of the previous bronze cenotaphs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what that Mr. Scrap.
Yes.
Yeah, just so everybody knows where that
Okay.
that they went and that they were disposed of.
Very good. A motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Very good. Thank you.